All right, guys, welcome back. Boots come in pairs. Thanks for all the comments, likes, subscribes. We're up to 31 subscribers now. Really crushing. No, it's hey, we're slowly growing our number, and then one day it'll just boom off, But we still continue to talk about our favorite sport, baseball. Even though I'm wearing a football jersey because it is football season, but no, it's baseball season. Still hit that. Actually, it's funny 'cause we keep saying that, right? And I can't remember what MLB player it was, but it's like, congrats to all you guys who are still paying attention this late into the baseball season. You guys are some real sickos. And yeah, you gotta be, I think that's why we do so well in fantasy, because it's a grind. It's hard. It's hard to watch this many games. It's hard to be invested, but we invest for this time of year when we're talking about playoffs with big implications. The Cubs have clinched. I did a little side video on that. That was night of reaction. I don't know. I was just feeling like a little sentimental watching Ian Happ kind of just have a moment, watching the whole team celebrate was kind of cool. I mean, before we dive into anything, do you want any thoughts on just the Cubs clinching and what that kind of meant for you?
Yeah. It was really special. I did not have a chance to watch the game or when it happened. I was doing something else, but yeah, it's just cool to see the celebrations. A lot of guys, first time in the short amount of time that they've been up or with the club. Other guys like Ian Happ has been with this team for a long time and has not really had to feel the feeling of a full season and getting to do this. Really sentimental for him. It was cool to hear him speak on that and just to see how excited everybody was. Good to see Counts get back in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, looking forward, just hope that they're able to string together some good games. This is kind of what we've been talking about for the last couple of years, is that you need to at least get to the dance and get that experience, and that's the best thing for these young players. But to me, as fans, it's like this should not be enough for us. We need them to play well, to win. We expect to win. I think the players expect to win. So, yeah, I mean, as good as it felt, we're just kind of yearning for more. We're wanting that 2016 Magic back, that 2017 Magic back, where they're knocking on the door or winning the World Series. This is a big sports town in Chicago, and we want some wins. We want some more titles.
Yep. Well, Ian Happ is the only player on the Cubs roster who has experienced the playoffs as a Cub in a non-COVID situation, a non-weird situation. Nico was on that 2020 team, but he goes, it wasn't the same. I think he was hurt at that time too, but it's just a different kind of celebration. So he's the only guy left who knows what the champagne room at Wrigley Field looks like and feels like. But as we look at the rest of the playoffs standings, so the Cubs are still the top wild card slot. That is good news, even amongst their 5-game skid. They are still, as we talked about last week too, 4-6 in their last 10. They are still kind of playing that 500 ball, even though they lost 5 in a row. They were, before this recent stretch, they were a season high 24 games over 500, and now they're 19 games, but still, great record. Followed by the Padres and Mets in that final wild card slot. Also, sidebar, they're playing 2 teams in the last 2 weeks that are really desperate for wins. The Reds are clinging on by their fingernails. They are 1 game behind the Mets. But they needed to win every game versus the Cubs, and the Mets also need to win every game. So you're playing some desperate teams down the stretch here, and you have already clinched your spot, right?
Right.
On the AL wildcard side, the crazy part is that the Tigers now occupy the final slot, 1-9 in their last 10, but they have slid well below. Yankees clinched today. Red Sox were hoping clinch soon, 2 games up. But they still need to win some games. They still have some games at hand. They continue to play good ball. And the Astros have slid out of the playoffs completely. They were holding down that division. They have conceded to the Mariners, who have clinched a spot and are 4 games clear of the Astros. So they almost clinched that division. Let's start with, I think, the best story in baseball right now. is the Cleveland Guardians, and just how, and you're wearing your Indians hat, which is also
Yeah.
acceptable. Um, and they're playing the Tigers this week, right? They won
Yeah.
yesterday. They currently
Yeah.
hold the tiebreaker now with Detroit.
Right.
Wowza. Trade deadline sellers, right?
And they're winning tonight as well. They're up three to
How?
one in the fifth.
Right? What are they doing in Cleveland, man? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Biggest thing is that they're just finding ways to win baseball games regardless of how they're getting it done. I was looking at their statistics for their players, and it's like no one's doing like ridiculously well. Like you got a couple guys who are stand out, but um, yeah, most of it is just they're finding ways to win games, and especially the close games. Like they're every close game that they're in, they're winning. They're not blowing saves. Caleb Smith has really locked down that closer role. But really, of their like 8 relievers that they use in a rotation, 6 of them have an average ERA of below 3 when you're averaging them all out. So they're really pitching well in the back end of things. When it comes to starting pitching, Gavin Williams has really stepped up where Tanner Bybee has kind of fizzled out. But aside from him, they're kind of getting through things. But yeah, the bullpen's been huge. J-Ram has been extremely, extremely big. Just continuing to, really build himself a Hall of Fame resume. In the second half, in 61 games, he has 28 extra base hits, 32 RBIs, 47 runs. He's stolen 11 bases. He has an 850 OPS, has another 30-40 season, which is crazy. Kyle Manzardo has also driven in over 30 runs. Brian Rocchio, you're getting a lot from him at short and also on the production side of things. They're just playing really, really well. And yeah, in that last 25 or so, or last 30 games or 20, I did like a stretch. So what did I look up? So they had a 6-game losing streak in late August, like August 25th. Since that losing streak ended, they are 21-6. And in that same time, Detroit is 7-19. So the Tigers are kind of going in the opposite direction. They're 1-9 in their last 10. They had that 7-19 record in that same span, like I was just saying, and their pitching has been atrocious. Aside from Scoobs, you take Scoobs out of it. Scoobs is another world. Flaherty's got an ERA of almost 5. Your 2 additions, Charlie Morton, who they cut already, his ERA was like 7. Paddock has been moved to the bullpen. He has like a 5.5 ERA, and Casey Mize, since the All-Star break, has like a 5.17 ERA. So the starting pitching's been bad. A couple of their higher leverage relievers have been bad. The guys they've added, like Finnegan, has pitched really well. But aside from him, they're not pitching that great. Tigers have been playing some good teams too, and they're going to end playing the Red Sox. So they're really going to have to buckle up if they drop these next 2 to Cleveland, because the Red Sox are going to want to clinch as well, and they're going to throw everything they can at this. So,
well, the problem for the Tigers is they're losing their Skubal starts right now, which is
Right.
your stopper day, and he's giving you his best, and you're still losing those games. Detroit, they had like a 99% chance to win the division in August, and now it's completely flipped around.
Right.
For Cleveland, their bullpen is an interesting thing because you forget. We were talking end of last year because we were talking about the numbers, how Clase's numbers were like identical to Mariano Rivera, and he's gone. Him and his FanDuel account are going elsewhere, and they lost another reliever earlier in the season to the same thing. It's just, again, I don't know what it's a little early to say what the results of the investigation are. They didn't look good, right? The optics of what they were doing. So you go from that, fast forward to today, where you lose 2 high leverage guys in your bullpen, and your bullpen's better, right? And it's like, what's going on? So, what they're doing in Cleveland is typical of Cleveland.
Right.
A lot of names you mentioned. yeah, you don't. I mean, Gavin Williams, where did he come from?
Right.
Um, yeah, no one else is really doing well. Fry got hit in the face last night by a Scooble pitch, but like it's okay. We'll win today too. Like
Right.
it's just what they're doing is what I expect from Cleveland. It really is.
Right.
Every year you look at their roster, it's kind of like the Brewers. It's like where are they going to find their wins? And I was
Right.
shocked at the trade deadline when they were moving pieces. They moved Bieber to Toronto, a contender, and it's like
Yep.
okay, they're just kind of giving up. But here they are. That
It's
third
like
wild
Major
card.
League. It's like Major League. Like
It is.
who are these guys? And you
Yep.
take J Ram out of it, and J Ram again, bona fide superstar. But it's just a bunch of guys who play well together,
Yep.
and they're finding ways to win games. Like I said, no one aside from their bullpen, which has been stellar, like starting pitching and offense, like maybe one guy is jumping off the page, and then they're just playing good baseball, and they're winning all the close games. And the Tigers are losing all the close
They're
games.
losing.
And they're not scoring any runs. You take two big offensive outbursts where they scored 11 and 10 runs over that 26, 27 game span. They're averaging less than 3 runs a game. So, like you were saying, they're losing the Scooble starts. Well, they're really losing all the starts. But
Yep.
Scooble doesn't need a lot of run support. His ERA is 2.18 over that in the second half. It's probably close to that for the season as well.
Yeah.
So if you can't even score 2 runs for him, or 3 runs for him, like you're not going to win any games. So,
Well, and kudos to whoever wrote the schedule for this year. Again, I know they try to get division rivals towards the end, but you have the Guardians playing Detroit right now. You also had last week the Mariners playing the Astros, and it was like, all right, the winner of this series is probably going to win the division, and I think the Mariners swept them, and now they're four
did.
games up, and that is another team that's just so they've kind of been hanging around that last wild card spot all year. They're in contention. They're not going to sell. We know they have good pitching because last year they had like the lowest pitching ERA in baseball. Just couldn't put any runs on the board. However, this year you have Cal Raleigh, who just hit his 58th home run. I know the numbers for his actual hits are going up and down, but 58 home runs from the catcher position in that ballpark is exactly the recipe for success for them because it is not a hitter's ballpark, right? So the Mariners are another one. They are also 9-1 in their last 10 games, scalding hot.
They are 15-1 in their last 16 games.
There you go.
They are beating like teams ahead of them, teams behind. They're really beating everybody. And for them to play Houston, were they in Houston?
In Houston.
Was that at? It was in Houston. They swept. Houston gets swept in the third to last series of the year at home with the playoffs on the line, with the division on the line. Because, dude, seriously, like the two of the wild card teams are coming out of the East. Like we already know that. So like it's going to be a win or die type situation.
Three AL East teams are going to make the playoffs.
Right, and two of them will be wild card for sure. But yeah, the offense you just mentioned, Raleigh. I mean, what an incredible season he has. I mean, take the bat. Like we are batting average people. We like to see the high average. Raleigh's average has not been super high in the second half. It's not super high for the season, but he just does damage. He's hit 20 bombs in the second half, which is crazy. But I want to highlight a guy who we were sort of giving a hard time to. Because he's just so immensely talented, and we're like, well, why can't he take it to the next level? Why can't he keep it consistently? Julio Rodriguez has been ridiculous. Julio Rodriguez, second half, over 900 OPS, 32 extra base hits, almost 40 runs driven in. He's scoring. He's playing great in center field. This is a resurgent year for him if I've ever seen one, and he has been the biggest factor in them doing what they're doing. I mean, can't speak enough for how well he's playing. Jorge Polanco has had a really solid second half as well. And then same with Josh Naylor. Josh Naylor has been a great addition. Dude is swiping bases like no other. 17 steals in the second half. He's about a 30-30 guy. He's never stole 17 bases in a season.
No.
But he's running. He's figuring it out.
I think this is a good time to insert this because I also had this at the end. But there's another guy who's been stealing a lot of bases this year that doesn't normally steal bases. For perspective, he stole 6 last year, 12 the year before, I think 3 the year before that. Currently, Juan Soto has
Yeah.
36 stolen bases.
Yeah.
Was
Yes.
that part of his contract? Does he have incentive to steal bases?
I
He
I
hasn't
don't know.
stolen 30 stolen bases in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
He had 1 year where he had 0 stolen bases. So this is not a guy that steals bases. What the? And you say Josh Naylor has 17 in the second half? That's insane. Because
Yeah.
he's not a base stealer,
He's
or
not.
at least
He's
he doesn't have
not.
the body of
Well,
a base stealer. But
Juan
wow,
Soto. Well, before we head back to the Mariners, we'll just speak on Juan Soto for a second. I mean, he will probably end up putting up the best statistical season for a non All Star ever. Um,
yeah,
he's just had a really good second half. He had a really hot June, kind of cooled off, but his second half for the most part has been
yeah.
really solid, and he's come up even though the Mets have kind of fallen off.
Oh yeah,
Um,
not his fault. Yeah.
not his fault. Not he
Well,
is contributing at least on the offensive end of things. I don't want to see him play defense though.
I think this speaks to something Carter Hawkins said a couple of years ago. When the Cubs have struggled the last 2 years, you're like, why are you doing this with this guy? And again, I still feel the same way about Ian Happ because his numbers for me aren't overwhelming, right? Back to the baseball card, but also it's really hard to judge these guys, and we've done it. We have been critical of Julio Rodriguez, we've been critical of Juan Soto, we've been critical of whatever, and just their overall production within the season. But it's also important to judge them based on their entire body of work. And it's 6 months of work. It's 6 months of at bats. It's 6 months of fielding. It's not just a hot and cold stretch because guys just go through that. So it is hard as we go through the months and weeks and kind of analyze as we go. And you can call out good things, call out bad things. But also, Julio Rodriguez is 26 years old, right? 27. I mean,
He's like 25,
he's a young guy.
young,
However, he has been propped up by ESPN. He has been pushed to the front of the line. Hey, he made an All-Star game at age 20. Now he's got to make it every year. That's the expectation. But
right,
it's like,
right,
hold on. Like, he can still be a good player. I still think it holds true. We've made points about him not being a superstar. He may not be a superstar. However, he's having a really solid year. Does he
hmm
deserve $80 million a year? I don't think so. I don't think that's a good way for
right.
Seattle to build that ballpark and that team
No,
and that situation. But can he be a contributor on a contender? He has a chance to this year. He
right,
has a chance to be a guy on a good team. So,
right. And can he have superstar seasons? Of course he can.
yep,
But yeah, it'll be about for him too, getting the at bats in the playoffs. He's never
yep,
made the playoffs. Like
yep.
the Mariners have gone a really long time without making the playoffs. They might be they might be one of the longest droughts in the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it
They haven't
20
made it in
plus
a long
years?
time. Yeah, it's been a long
Well,
time,
they'll break that, and again, you'll play some home playoff games,
which would be great.
play to your advantage. You have really good pitching. And it's funny because I think a couple weeks ago I was going through like who do I trust from the AL, and I was like, well, the Mariners are pretenders, and I I was on the hype train for Baltimore a couple years ago and they disappointed,
hmm
and that's why I just hold reservation. I was like, that's why if Houston gets in, I have a little more confidence in them. Well, guess what? Houston might not even get in now, right?
Right,
So, but
right,
I have a little more confidence in the Red Sox, the Yankees, the big names that have been there before and won and done that than I do the
right,
Mariners. However, when you have the pitching that they do, they're intriguing.
right, right. And you have a guy leading, and it's not the normal. It's not Luis Castillo.
No,
It's not George Kirby. It's not Logan Gilbert. It's Brian Wu.
Brian
Like
Wu. Yep.
he, Brian Wu is leading that staff. He's having an incredible year, first All Star appearance, but he has been great in this great year, but great in the second half. Has really anchored their rotation, and they're if they can get their 4 or 5 horses like back on track at the right time, they could be really dangerous. And they do play really good defense too.
Yep.
So it'll be fun to see them there.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for aside from the teams that we like. I'm pulling for Seattle. I have a soft spot for Seattle. I like a lot of their players. I love their ballpark. They're a solid organization. It'll be fun to see them win some games in October.
Yep. Another team that's cooled off a little bit because they just couldn't keep up the torrid pace. The Brewers are starting to level off, and you expect that they clinched the division. Um, I wrote down they don't have a chance at 100 wins. They do technically have a chance to still reach 100 wins, which felt like a lock a couple weeks ago, but
Hmm.
now they need to win out essentially to get to that 100 wins. Actually,
Right.
do they have a chance? Tomorrow they're off. They have three more.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
They have
Three
three
more
more
games.
games then, right? So no, they don't.
Yeah.
99 is the most they can get. Um,
Right.
they also have lost now Brandon Woodruff.
Mm.
What appears to be the postseason, lat oblique area injury. That's not good. I don't think Trevor McGill is slated to come back till at least the postseason, and I don't think you want him pitching in the postseason as his first rehab assignment, right?
No.
Jacob Mizorowski has been
Bad.
miserable. I don't know what else to say it, but he's been inaccurate. He's had to slow his fastball down just to get in the zone, and now people are hitting it. Pat
Yeah.
Murphy said he's going to maybe be a bullpen guy, but can you trust him when he's been struggling for specifically one inning, and then you don't know if that's going to be the inning you put him in? So they've just
Right.
been on an interesting run. Churio is 2 for his last 23. That's not great. Um, Collins has come back down to earth. Contreras is getting a little banged up, so they're not their healthy 100% self heading into the playoffs. And I think that's the concern for a team like that, and not just my jaded viewpoint of them. I don't.
Right.
The Brewers don't bother me. I don't like the Cardinals for very specific reasons. Um, but I can. I mean, you can just look by the number. They're playing their roster, and they're not having the same success they were in June, July, and August.
Right. Right. And it really started during that big Cubs series where they came to Wrigley and the Cubs took the series from them. They hadn't lost a game in a long time. They hadn't lost a
Yep.
series in a long time. Since that Cubs series, they're like including those games, they're 18-18. And they were on fire.
Yep.
Nothing could go wrong. They're still having quite an impressive second half. Most of their starting lineup and a couple of the bench guys have OPSs of over 800. They score runs, but yeah, like you were talking about a couple seconds ago, the pitching just has not been there, and losing Woodruff is a huge blow.
He was pitching very well.
He was pitching very well. Obviously, Freddie has been excellent all year, but yeah, you take those couple guys out of the mix. And then Quinn Priester's also been excellent. He's had probably his best year as a pro too. Very
Yep.
encouraging how he pitched. But
Did
yeah,
he pitch
Miz
today?
has been what's
Did
that?
he pitch today? I think he
Quinn?
did.
He might have. They
Okay.
won.
They have won now. I think going into the game it was 19. They have won 20 consecutive starts that he has made as a team. He hasn't won all 20, but
Right.
they have won his last 20 consecutive starts.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure he's won most of them. He's had
He's
a
I think he's like 11-2 or 10-2,
yeah,
whatever he
he's
is.
had
Yeah.
a great year, and it's awesome to see the Illinois kid just doing really well and pitching to his strengths. He's more of a sinker ball guy. It's fun. It's fun to see guys that I coached against really doing well, and he was great back then, and he's doing really well now, which is cool. But yeah, take those three out of it. Definitely take Woodruff out of it because he's done. Yeah, Miz has been really bad.
Yep.
Quintana has been really bad, and
Quintana's
Patrick has
hurt.
been yeah, Quintana's hurt and has about a 5 ERA in the second half. And then, Chad Patrick has about like a 4.25 ERA.
Yep.
So starting pitching has not been there, at least the back half of it.
Yeah.
Luckily for them in the playoffs, you really only need two or three, and you can go to your strong bullpen. But yeah, Woodruff would probably be a guy I'd want to have. But I mean, good for them on being there. This is another very successful year, another great year under Murphy. I really like Murphy a lot. I like hearing him talk.
Yeah.
He's definitely a player's coach.
And I think
But
postseason success isn't always guaranteed, as we know. When you don't have the most talented roster, it's sometimes hard to push through these series where you're like, if you have really good pitching, you can overcome that. Right now, their pitching is wavering. That's why I don't like their chances. Doesn't mean they won't win. They could still win. But also, if you're a Brewers fan, enjoy this golden era of baseball that you're in, because you could very easily go back to the 90s and 2000s where you weren't making the playoffs and you were celebrating like crazy for that 2008 wild card team with CC Sabathia. So you have continually made the postseason since 2017, 18, whatever it's been, and you've continued to win the division. Enjoy the heck out of it. Don't get hyper focused on if they win the World Series or not. This is a bust of a season. it's so random sometimes. It's so hard to do, right? So again, it's a bummer when they lose. I'll be upset if the Cubs, whenever the Cubs get knocked out, if it's they win the World Series, they get knocked out. It'll be hard to take, right? But not being in the postseason the last 4 years for the Cubs has been more agonizing than being in and getting knocked out. So enjoy that part. You at least get to see it.
Right.
And first home game for the Brewers is October 3rd and 4th. Could be against the Cubs if they can push their way through the wild card round. Just saying. Not that I want ticket prices to surge for no reason, but
I mean, I would go. That's my birthday week. Next week's my birthday.
That's why I said that.
Right. It's a good birthday present.
There's options.
There's options. I want to go to a playoff game. That's what I want.
There you go. There you go.
I don't care what playoff game.
Well, that would be the closest because the Tigers aren't going to make it, so no.
They might not. They might not.
You can drive down to Cleveland. Another historic part of this season has been Nico Hoerner's run lately. He is pushing, knocking, banging on the door. Unfortunately, Trey Turner is not playing right now, so his average is set at 305. However, Nico is at 302, and he's continued to climb. He had 3 hits last night. I know he walked first at bat tonight. He's very close. Can you imagine if Nico Hoerner wins the National League batting title? I don't know if it will, because to get from 302 to 305 would be a jump at this stage of the game.
Right.
But
he's up to 303 right now.
He's up 303, so he got a hit tonight.
He's 1 for 1. They're up 4-0.
You're 2 points off. I was going to come up with some convoluted plan of how Trey Turner doesn't have enough at bats and that he's not playing the last couple games, but he's got 587 at bats.
He's got a lot. He's got plenty of at bats.
He did all his work already. But Nico will be the Silver Slugger at second base for sure. He also has only committed 4 errors this year. Last I looked, he's a 5.8 WAR player. Again, don't care about WAR, but when you're going laterally across it, that's the best way to compare players. He is having an incredible season. He is having, with runners in scoring position, he doesn't have 100 RBIs, but when he has runners in scoring position, he has been one of the best Cubs of all time. Like, just below Ryan Sandberg.
So I saw that he has a 6.2 WAR.
6.2, that's jumped.
Yes. Do you want to take a guess at what his batting average with runners in scoring position is this year? Take a guess.
I think it's in the 400s, 414.
That's pretty high. He is hitting 362 with runners in scoring position, and that leads the National League.
At one point in the year, though, it was in the 400s.
Yeah.
At one point in the year. Yeah, 360 is phenomenal because that means
362 is amazing.
And he doesn't strike out. I think he has less than 50 or 60 strikeouts this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Gets on base, takes his walks.
And he is hit all over the lineup, too. Yeah. So when he's coming up, like there's not always runners in scoring position. He's often starting the run. I mean, he's hitting 2 tonight. He's hit leadoff a bunch. Earlier in the year, he was hitting like 6. But like it seems like whenever guys are on base, like you want him up, and he has come in big. I was looking at his offensive numbers. He is either at a career high or second or number 2 for season all time for him. His 2023 year was pretty great as well. Which was the last year that he won the Gold Glove. He had a very similar season to this, but he's just taken it to another level. He's definitely going to play the most games he's ever played in his career. I think tonight was number 152, and he's played 150, I think, once, and another 151 another time. But durability has been awesome, too.
Forget, early this spring, he's dealing with he does not play all spring training because he's nursing himself back from a shoulder injury. He does not go to Japan because he's not quite ready, and he gets a couple early days off in the season because they just want to manage his throwing, right? There have been MVPs of the league that have had less WAR than him, and I'm not talking about 2020. So, and put this in perspective, Nico Hoerner has 7 home runs, right? So he is
6, not doing
6. He is not doing it with the power. he is doing it with. He's a very high defensive WAR player,
Hmm.
and he's just putting the ball in play and finding the holes and running the bases incredibly efficiently. It's so fun.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
Jim Deshays called him Forrest Gump the other day, with just how he runs. And when you watch him run, he runs like he does. He runs
Yeah.
very parallel.
It's perfect form.
Yes, every time. Gosh, again, it's he's one of my favorite players. I have pitched him as my all BCIP team second baseman multiple times now, and that is one again. We're kind of doing it. I feel like you do yours a little more analytically and try to want the best team. I try to pick a little more with my heart on my sleeve, and that's a
Yeah.
homer pick for me. But that is now the correct pick. So it's
It's the
kind of
correct
satisfying
pick.
to have that be
Right.
the have him do what he's. I mean, it doesn't do. He's doing it. It's cool, but he's just having one of the better seasons by a second baseman, and he's doing all of it.
Yeah.
It's not Darwin Barney who won the Gold Glove with the glove only. He's doing it
Right.
with. I don't know. He's just gonna walk home with a lot of hardware this year. I know he probably doesn't care, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it's very
He's
cool.
special. It's
And
just special to
he's a
watch.
he's a special player, and it's just like you can go to the ballpark and just watch him really
Yep.
do anything. It's just fun, and you want him to do well because he's a good guy too.
Yep.
He's a student of the game. He's very smart. Very he thinks very like broadly.
Yep.
He's not like a simple thinker. Like he thinks about the whole picture. And it's a lot of fun.
He had on Tuesday, so yesterday, he had a hour long segment, and I'm only about 15 minutes into the segment, but it's an in live, in person, like he was interacting with fans that were also there, but like on the radio, just talking. Um, and it's just really can't. But like his baseball IQ is so high, but also he's again you said the kind of player he is. His approach to hitting, because a lot of guys want to hit home runs, and like I think for a lot of us, at least again, I was told this at one point in time. It's like, hey, you need to hit for more slug. You need to get more. Need to get stronger. You need to do this and that. Well, that guy understands his role, and he understands what he does well, and he does that well. I'm going to go the other way. Hey, we just need to put the ball in play here, right? And that's the runner in scoring position thing. It's like, hey, there's guys on base, and I may not get a hit, but I'm at least going to give myself a chance to get a hit by putting the ball in play. And man,
Right.
is he
Or
pound?
give my team a chance to
Yeah,
score runs, which ultimately
yeah.
helps you win a game.
Because when your ball does not make contact with the bat, you give yourself no chance to score
Right.
anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, man, time after time, is it just line drive up the middle, line drive up the middle,
Hmm.
line drive to right, line drive to left. He just, when he's hitting fly balls, that's not his game, right? Because those are usually
No.
outs. And that also speaks to, they're talking about Wrigley being a home field advantage because it can play as a hitter's park, it can play as a pitcher's park. Well, as a hitter, too, you got to adjust to that. And some days, when that wind's blowing in, I don't care how hard you hit it, it's not going out, right?
No.
And you got to understand that as a hitter. And like, hey, my shot is on the ground or on a line drive, but the second I start elevating, it's probably an out.
You
And
could hit the ball. You could have the right launch angle. You could hit it 115 miles an hour off the bat. When it gets
yeah,
caught in that Wrigley wind in the power alley, like you're gonna fly out to the warning track. It's just the way it is. Regardless of it, the ball on the right day could go 470 feet, but on some of those days it goes 365 feet, and it just doesn't
yeah.
make it out.
I think him, like, same with guys like Jose Ramirez, like, their game will play in any stadium, but I think Nico's game especially plays well for Wrigley, um, especially the power game, because it's not a strong suit, but it doesn't need to be,
No.
especially when you surround your team with other guys who are hitting for power. Hopefully. I mean, some of these guys have been struggling lately.
Yeah.
But even, so I don't know if you heard any of PCA's comments. He's been very candid all year. So we'll kind of
Hmm.
shift our focus, stay on the Cubs here. But because obviously All-Star break, we're going, man, this guy's going to be 30-30. No problem.
Hmm.
And he's got the steals. He's continued to do that. Continued to play Gold Glove caliber defense. However, there's been a little bit of a power outage. And even
Yeah.
he admitted, he goes, if you'd have told me I was going to hit 29 home runs this year, I had no intention necessarily of hitting that many homers. But he goes, when you're in the middle of it, all of a sudden you're like, man, I could hit 50 homers. Like, this is
Hmm.
easy. I could just do this. And then all of a sudden, you can't hit one, right?
Right.
And you feel like every at bat, there's so much pressure on you to do that. So it's been cool to watch PCA's acceptance of, like, hey, I'm not going to hit a homer every at bat. I'm not going to do damage every at bat. I'd like to, but
Hmm.
sometimes it's just not going to play out. I'm going to hit the ball really hard. It's going to hit off Moises Ballesteros' head, right? That's just going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So actually, I've never seen that happen. I don't know,
No.
but still, it's just you can hit balls really hard that are for outs. But
Right.
if you haven't heard any of his stuff, he's been very candid all year, but especially recently about the struggles, about how long the season is, and just very, very cool to see that perspective from a player that's going through it.
Yeah, it just shows how much he cares. Like he really cares and he really has high expectations for himself because he really wants this. He really wants to be good and he really wants to help the franchise succeed.
Yes, he
It
cares.
has
Yep.
been like devastating just watch it because he wears his emotions on his sleeve. He when he thinks he should have gotten one, he gets very very frustrated. It's
Yep.
visible. Like he's not good at masking that stuff, which can be good and can be bad. But I think the biggest thing this has been such a learning year for him, coming off a lot of struggles last year. There's a lot of talk about maybe he's not the guy. Maybe he's a 4A player. Maybe he's not quite meant to do damage at the. We already knew the defense and the speed. Like that is something that's never going to leave him. He's always going to have those tricks in his bag. But like this hitting element, like we just know we've seen what he's capable of, and you just got to develop a little bit more consistency. Taking some more pitches, getting on base, using that speed to his advantage, that kind of thing, and maybe learning a couple things from his teammates, namely Nico Horner, on just making contact. Like you can
Yeah.
do a lot of damage when you put the ball in play.
I could see one of two things happening this postseason, and either one would be understandable and acceptable. I could see him rising to the occasion and just having a stellar postseason run, kind of like Javi Baez did in 2016, where you're just all of a sudden he's the MVP of the NLCS and
Hmm.
all these things. Or I could see him also struggle mightily, and if the Cubs get bounced in the first round, they just and he just doesn't have a hit. And either one would be fine because you know what? He's had a stellar season. He's proven that he's a good hitter, but yeah, he's just got to develop that consistency. But these first 2 to 3 games, however many they get in the wild card round, are so important for the development of your young guys. Matt Shaw, PCA, get them in this scenario, in the pressure cooker, and then I think this is all great. I mean, if they do well, great. If they don't do well, learn from that, and then also use this 162 grind that you've been through. Use that as fuel for next year. Of like, all right, this is how I get through it next year. I'm gonna go through my highs, super highs. I'm gonna go through those valleys, and then just kind of see how you can get through the end of the season productively, right?
Right,
Um,
right, for sure,
yep.
for sure.
Another point to celebrate. We have not had a chance to. I mean, it was announced yesterday, but I was going to get party poppers. I couldn't find them. This is for next year. The ABS strike zone is
Yes,
coming.
yes,
We have been waiting for this. It's flawless, right? They did it in spring training. We've seen a ton of terrible calls down the stretch recently, right? And guys are just getting frustrated. I wish they would put it in for the playoffs, right? Like,
right.
what are we waiting
That'd
for?
be great.
But and we knew this was going to happen. They're like, oh, it might take a couple years to develop. It already developed. You already have it. You can't have CB Buckner doing this anymore.
No,
But yeah, for 2026, you will have full ABS strike zone with well, it won't be full ABS. It'll be ABS assisted strike zone with a challenge system, with 2 challenges. Like you can have 2 incorrect calls for the game. Fantastic. I don't think that's enough. I think you need like 6, but still,
right.
it's a great start. It's something to celebrate. It's something to hold these umpires accountable for.
Right. We can have you seen those videos where it's like CB Buckner core or something like that, and they play like I'm a Boss by Rick Ross, and it's just him blowing calls. They
Yeah.
need to do one. They need to do a compilation where where they're like reversing the calls. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna I mean, a lot of these umpires are gonna be very butthurt about it. It's a challenge to their ego, but I mean, you gotta have something, and you
hmm
throw these managers and these players out for arguing your horrible call, and it's
right.
like, that's all you gotta do now, and
Yeah.
say, prove me wrong. And I think they had a percentage of this morning. They were talking about it a little bit. I think like each position challenging. I think the pitchers are least in sync with the strike zone. I think they're only right like 47% of the time. They said
hmm
catchers are right like 57% of the time, and the batters were right like 54% of the time when they challenged.
Right.
Um, However, I think once these guys establish and they know where the strike zone is, the percentages are going to go way up,
Right.
especially for the catchers. I think the catchers are going to know the zone and be like, yep, no, that's not it. But those are the only three people that can challenge. So that is the caveat of it, which I think is important.
hmm
Batter, catcher, pitcher are the only three on the field. The manager can't chime in. It's got to be done by those three. I'm pretty sure that's the rule, but it's a
Right.
magnificent rule. I've seen it in AAA. It's phenomenal. It takes no time at all.
No
It takes
time.
more time to
No.
bark at the umpire than it does
They have
to
all
challenge.
that stuff automated. Like all of it's
Yep,
there. It goes to wherever it goes, New York or wherever.
yep,
Like the war rooms, like they could. It's
right.
instant.
I mean, to be honest, if you've noticed, because they can challenge now, like out calls at first base, right? And I think they give managers a little too much time to like ask for citizens, like, should I challenge it? Oh yeah, challenge it. But like they give
Right.
them too much time. I've noticed the umpires are not they don't care, but they're like not as like, oh, he was out. Okay, just go challenge it. If you think it's wrong, like they're kind of like whatever. Like it was a close
Right.
play. So they've been less like emphatic, I'll say, about the out calls because it's like I'm gonna call him this, but take a look. Basically, they're
Right.
kind of off the hook.
Right.
So I think the umpires are a necessary part of the game. You add the human element; it does speed up a lot of stuff, but
Mhm.
being right is more important. That's all we've been
It's more
calling for, being
important.
right.
Right.
So party
Right.
poppers, maybe I'll put them in
Yeah.
CGI later if I know how to do that. I don't know. We'll see.
Right.
But any other Cubs thoughts or thoughts on that as we move forward into the postseason?
No, just hope they get on a little roll here before everything starts.
Yeah.
They're up 6-0 right now. Matt Boyd
What?
is throwing well.
What?
He's
Hold
throwing
on.
really, really well.
Hold on.
Um,
What? Nigo's 1 for 2. He's down to 302 again.
dang.
6-0. Well, last night they were up 6-1, and I said, like, oh, they're up 6-1. That's why Kate Horton came out, and then they lost.
Right. And they blew
That was
it.
bad, but
It was real bad. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they can string together a few wins. It'd be nice to see them get to 90. We'll be there this weekend on Saturday against the Cardinals, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that, going with Dad. So, yeah, it'd be fun to see a Cubs win. The only other game I've been to this year at Wrigley, they lost. So I'd like to be a good luck charm versus a bad luck charm.
yep, absolutely. Well, you guys will have fun either way.
hmm
I want to get to Wrigley at some point. It won't happen this year. That's okay. I'm playing the most majestic round of golf I'll play all year, so
Right.
can't complain. But I do miss this season in particular. Again, we went to a couple games up here, Cub Brewer games, but when the Cubs are playing well and it's a fun year at Wrigley, that makes you want to go back. I haven't wanted to go back the last couple of years because it's just been like, ugh, just you don't want to watch the team. You don't feel good about their chances. This team is not yet. They're officially a playoff team. It's fun to be at Wrigley. Even though they lost last night, like they said, the vibes there were incredible. John Mulaney was there. He sang the seventh inning stretch. So like it's the place to be when the Cubs are good. I know it was
John Mulaney.
it is amazing.
It's all right there.
When the Cubs are good, it's phenomenal. I think the other thing we didn't talk about was Rizzo. I kind of caught on in my own little 5-minute video, but Rizzo going back, sitting in the bleachers, dropping the home run ball, starting the cup snake, all that kind of stuff. It's just the Cubs being good on top of that just makes it so much better. because you could bring them back, and you could have a 70-win season, and who cares? Okay, we're just having fun at the ballpark. But I think with everything that's kind of just happened this year, with losing Ryan O, kind of losing the division too, right? And then still making the playoffs though, and having all these other things, and bringing Tony back in the fold and having him be an ambassador, like those are just really good things for the Cubs, and they're playing really good baseball too. Like that just it all kind of makes you want to go out to the ballpark, and even though I'm far away, it makes me want to go back as well, which I haven't felt in the last 3 to 4 years. So
right, definitely.
All right, well, enjoy the ballpark vibes. Bring home a W, at least 90 wins. That would be a huge victory. The last couple of years, and hopefully tonight again 6-0 tonight. Let's see if the bullpen can hold on.
Yeah, knock on that wood, man. Knock on it.
Well, until next time, playoff baseball, Busco and Pairs. Take it easy.
Peace.